The other day, I was sitting under my tree that I sit and I use for relaxing, and the times they are a changing came to mind. And I said to myself, that says a lot more today than it did back then, and it said a lot then, back in the 60s. I think it was very prophetic about Mr. Dylan, and I think it's more relevant today than it is now, is what I'm saying. Okay, so let's go there. I'll play it for you. All right. Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown and accepted that. So come gather round, people, wherever you roam. At the time, I roamed around Suffolk County, Long Island, New York. And it meant it. I used to listen to it. I mean, I didn't even realize that it was going to even when I was going to be a lot older, it was going to mean more to me than it did then. It just sounded real. It sounded like he was telling you something, but you couldn't really figure out what was going to happen. But he was. You knew he was telling you something. I knew that, but I didn't know what it was. But now I do. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. For the times they are a changing. And accepted that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is... So he says, admit that the waters around you have grown. Back in 1974, that was very appropriate. Why was it appropriate? It was Watergate. Watergate, the gate was opened and the floods started to come in. Nixon was the guy who was the president at the time and allowed the deep state to change the gold, take the dollar off the gold standard. In those days, you could take your dollar bill and go to a bank and say, I want a gold coin. I want an ounce of gold. No, I'm sorry, it was the silver coin that you can do that with. That's what I see when he's saying that the waters around you have grown since then, because when they did that with the dollar off the gold standard, the waters that are growing are the waters of inflation. And now it's almost like we can't swim. What held us from inflation all these years, none of the other countries could buy oil unless they paid for it in dollars. So they had to stock up on dollars. And guess what? Russia doesn't want anything to do with dollars anymore. And that's going to be the beginning of our inflation in the United States. It's going to go because, we have to pay for the deficit. Oh, we don't have the money. Oh, we'll raise the ceiling. Oh, we need a lot of money to give to Iran. Oh, here it is. It's write out a blank check. Write out a check where we don't got the money to give them. We want to give them really bad. We want to do it. But you know the story about inflation. This song, but I'm saying that the waters he's talking about right here are rising. That's the inflation problem. And admit that the waters around you have grown and accepted that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving. Okay, accept it, or you'll be drenched to the bone. Yeah, I mean that's for people that want to do something about it. It's really not for me. I mean, I'm going to try a little bit. I don't really have a lot of assets that's going to make a difference. I'm going to be one of these guys, like a lot of poor people. Although I'm not really poor right now. I'm still middle class, I would say. But I'm sinking. It's like it says. The time for me is the time that I would save. I don't think I think I'm not going to lose any time as I think he's coming so soon that it won't even matter if I try to save. He that tries to save himself will lose. He who loses will save himself. In other words, you got to give this world up. Give it up. I don't know. That's what he said. Not, and I'm agreeing with him. That's all. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not giving you financial advice.
And you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. For the times they are a-changin'. Some writers and critics, you prophesize with your pen and keep your eyes.
Writers and critics who prophesy with your pens. Keep your eyes open. The chance won't come again. How prophetic is that? Because the writers and critics in those days were being heard. They had to put columns in newspapers. They didn't have but they can go on television. They can go on television, say things, and newspapers, but they didn't have internet like we got it now. But those guys in those days were heard. And then he's saying to that same group of people, keep your eyes open because the chance won't come again. And what do we got now? My good friend Greg Hunter, he had to get off of YouTube. He was censored. He was demonetized. He had grown his subscribers to an unbelievable amount because he was one of the few people talking the truth about things. And he's told us about inflation. He's told us about the vax problems. And he's constantly, like these guys, criticizing what's going on. He's a critic. He's one of the few. But the times for most of them are gone because they haven't got the strength to go on with truth. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that still have the truth and they still criticize. But the times, like he says, the times they are a-changing.
Why the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin. And there's no telling who.
Now he's giving the warning, don't speak too soon, for the wheels are still in spin. So the car is still going, all right? But he doesn't want the critics to speak too soon because there's going to be a time when, although the voice of the critics of today's day, critics of what's going on with the government and with the people that are in charge, critics of them now is really a lot more important than to criticize in those days because what the government really wasn't doing too bad in those days. They weren't doing as bad as they are now. So in other words, what he's saying, we're still moving, we're still going, we're going forward into the future, and there's going to be a time when your criticism is going to mean a lot more than it did in those days. And in those days, there was very little to criticize. The government was doing a lot better than it is now.
That it's naming. For the loser, now will be later to win. times they are changed.
The loser now, and back then, the loser, which is the deep state wasn't really winning. They weren't in charge. But they are now. They are now in the wind, in the winning column. They're mopping the floor with us. The times they are changing, people. And now he's talking another thing about the senators and congressmen. Please heed the call. We need you people. We need honest senators that don't have the deep state money in their pocket. And how many you got a handful that only got a handful of those people. You only got a handful of people that don't have their money in their pocket. And they can't be bought. There's a few of them, but that's not the topic here. And then he says, don't stand in the doorways, don't block up the halls. All right? So he's saying, allow them to come in and make their changes and do the fight.
Don't block up the hall, for he that gets hurt will be healed.
He that gets hurt will be okay. Here he's saying that if you block the doorway, that person's going to get hurt. They're gonna trample right over him. So don't do it. I don't know if they're going to be trampling coming into the Congress to do a good thing or not. You know, maybe they're going to make a deal with Iran. It's the senators and congressmen that did that. And that began, according to Nathan, when they did that in September 11th of 2015, that began the World War III, the multi-scenario war stage of nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. That began it then. World War III. It's in the newspapers every day. Every time they want to cover something up, they talk about a war problem. Because they are bent on having a war. It takes them out of it helps the economy. And it kills people. They like that too. It seems like they like that anyway. And then he says, there's a battle outside that is raging, that will soon shake your windows and rattle your walls. There's a battle outside that is raging that will soon shake your windows and rattle your walls. So the battle outside that is raging, that describes to me, I just did a bunch of videos on the Gog and Magog. The culmination of World War III is Gog and Magog. And it's going to be a battle that we don't even have to worry about, because if you believe in Jesus now, you're going to be resurrected. And that's what the shaking the windows and rattle your walls is. It's mentioned in a couple of places. For example, it's mentioned in Zechariah, and it's mentioned in Ezekiel 39. Okay?
We'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls, for the times they are a-changin'. Our mothers and fathers throughout the land, and don't criticize what you can't.
Mothers and fathers. Now here it is. Mothers and fathers throughout the land. Don't criticize what you can't understand. Now, I think that the next verse will explain it a little better. But what I am thinking it is that the verse that says, children will be disobedient to their parents. That's this age. The parents that are in this age are criticizing And he's saying, don't criticize what you don't understand.
Understand your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can.
Okay, so there it is that your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. I mean, they already got it. They already have the propaganda. They you let them play the videos and you let them do you let them do a lot of things, and you don't realize what they're being educated into. And there's nothing you can do about it. Really, there's almost nothing you can do about it. I'm not criticizing parents for that. It's just times they are changing. And that verse, children will be disobedient to your parents, is earmarked for the last days that we're in now. There's no way you're going to fix it. I'm not criticizing the parents. You go ahead and tell them not to. It's not going to hurt. They're not going to listen, but it's not going to hurt. Like he says, your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. They don't even hear it. They go to school. Okay, mom. And they go to school dressed the way they're dressed. And then he says, the old roads, the road of the former days when things were more normal like they should be, those roads are rapidly aging, getting to be old. So there's a new road. There's a new road where the new parents are going onto the new road, and that's the road that leads to destruction for the world. It's the world's way. If you go the wide easy road now, you're going on the path. You're really going on the path that leads to destruction. Okay? And what he's saying in this verse, and I really don't agree with him here. Get out of the new one if you can't lend a hand. I'm not going to get out of the new one. I'm not even going to go into the new one. I can't lend a hand. I can't fix it. Most of us are just one person. In fact, all of us are just one person. And we are in the minority. There's nothing we can do. It's not like I don't want to see it better. I just know I can't fix it. It's a road. It's a road. The new road is going right straight to destruction.
In your hand for the times they are a-changing. The line it is drawn and the curse is cast. The slowest.
Okay, here he's saying the line is drawn and the curse is cast. And that's what I'm saying, agreeing with him there. The line's already drawn. The curse is cast. He's coming back. He's our Redeemer. And the curse for everybody else that have not been redeemed, there's not much hope for them.
And the curse is cast. The slowest one now will later.
The slowest one now will later be fast. And I think the only way this fits in the model is the slower ones are going to be the deep state people that aren't getting their way. But he that permits will permit until he's taken out of the way. So the Holy Spirit, I believe that he who permits is the Holy Spirit. God is in control, and he's slowly allowing the enemy to gain more and more ground. He's allowing it. He wants it to happen. He wants to come back. The slowest ones, which are the deep state people, are later going to be fast, which is today's day. They are fast. They're the ones winning the race. Who won? They did. Who won in the election? They did.
Be fast and present now will later be past. The order is rapidly fading. And
The present now, which was back in the 70s and 60s, will later be past. The order is rapidly fading. The first one now will later be last. Okay? So let's say that the first one now, which is like the majority of the middle class, that were having a good life. The middle class back in those days had a good life. But they're later going to be last because the economy has beat us down. And I think the best example is for the first now, which was back then, will later be last, so that we're going to be losing. We're going to be behind in the line. And who's going to be ahead of the line? I think those people that are ahead of the line, it's the 0.1% that own more wealth than the rest of the people, the rest of the world. And let me explain it this way. If you have 1,000 people, you call one up, let him come forward. That guy owns more wealth than the 999 that are in back of him. I mean, that's the craziness of what's going on now.
First one now will let out be last, for the times they are a-changin'.
Okay, to explain the fact that the first shall be last, the best way to explain it is in the form of Jesus. When he comes back, he comes as a thief in the night, as a thief. And since when do you ever think of Jesus being a thief? Well, he's probably the biggest thief that ever lived. Because when he comes back, those 1.1% that own more than the rest of the world, those guys, their money is worthless. Their money is totally worthless. They can't spend it. The last Trump has already sounded. They're out of it. The only thing they can see in their future are the 7 vials of wrath. If they were a part of the beast, they're getting all of the vials of wrath against the beast. If they took the mark, they're getting all of those wraths. They're getting wrath, wrath, wrath. And there are 7 of them. As a warning, you could also be a member of the false prophet, where you talk false doctrine. Or you can be a member of neither one of those, where you're just a member of Satan. But no matter how you look at it, you are going to be experiencing the 7 vials of wrath, even if the only force over you was the mystery woman Babylon. She's going to be judged in the 7th vial. So any way you look at it, if you're part of the world, if you're part of a false prophet, if you're part of the beast, if you're part of Satan himself, you are going to be part of the wrath of God. And when everybody else is in peace of mind, under our vines and under our fig trees, without hurt, as I explained in the 4 other videos that I have on this topic. Okay, just to let you know, their money is worthless. It's already gone. What are you gonna do? You can't buy your salvation. It was given to you for free. You could have got it for nothing. Just a trumpet away. You could have got it for nothing, but you didn't want it. How sad. I don't feel sorry for you. You had plenty of time to change and repent. As far as the changing and repenting goes, I want to include my own life. I mean, there was once a time when I didn't know anything about Jesus, the redemption, the New Testament, the Holy Scriptures. Nothing. I knew nothing. Maybe it was my junior year. It was probably my junior year. My junior year of college. I was vexed. I didn't know whether to go forward or go back. If you want to go look at my testimony, about me is not about me. You got to go to the channel, hit my button, and keep going about. It's about me, but it's not about me. And that explains my entire salvation experience, if you want to know. But anyway, I'm just giving you the part where I was a lost soul. I was vexed. I didn't know whether I should continue with college or drop out, because at the time, I didn't know whether to do my homework or not to do my homework. I didn't understand anything. I was so vexed in my mind, in my mental state, that I found myself at the window of my dormitory, knocking my head against the glass. And when I was knocking my head against the glass, I realized there was more to it than just something being in my mind. I was actually considering busting the glass and jumping out. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, world. But what stopped me was a request from my Father in heaven. And I said to him, the world that you gave us, it's so perfect. Everything is so nice. I see the sky, I see the clouds, I see the trees, I see the lakes, I see the ducks, I see all of these things, and I see that myself as a man in this world, and I'm equating women too, the two of us are the prince of this world. What do we get for being the prince of the world? Vexation. We get a mind that doesn't know how to even go forward, doesn't even know how to do his homework, doesn't even know if it's right to do his homework, doesn't even know if it's right to read the book that I'm scheduled to read, and there's tons of them. I said to him, "There's something wrong." And this is the one. This isn't the first time I prayed, but it's one of the most important ones. I asked him. I said, "There's something wrong. There's an answer. I just want to know what the answer is." Okay, and that was the end of the prayer. It took a second. I just asked him that. The next day, my roommate comes to me with the Gospel of John. It came in the mail to that suite, and they didn't know who it belonged to. I was the only Gentile. I wasn't the only Gentile. There was one more, but I was the one that they thought it was purposed to. And they said, "Here, this came in the mail. This is for you." It was the Gospel of John. So I'm reading it, for the first time. I think it was for the first time. It was for the first time. And I get to the part where it says, "Whosoever," the question I had for God was, what's the answer? How do you explain it? And the answer was, because God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, And whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. I'm just telling you, if you don't have an assurance that when he comes, he's going to take you, you need to just take a moment. It only takes a moment to talk to him, to ask him to be saved. People, hear this, please, and hear it for yourself. And if you hear it for yourself and you already made that request and you already know him, keep on keeping on. Stay on the path that leads to salvation. It's narrow, it's not easy, but it's the one that works. Okay? I'm just trying to end it here. Take care, my love, my people that he loves. We both love you. He loves you. Actually, we all love you. He loves you, Father. He loves you, Son. He loves you, Ruach HaKodesh, Holy Spirit, who should be within you, and he will come in within you. That's what he does. He puts his laws in your heart. You change. You will change. Be you changed according to the renewing of your mind. Your mind is going to renew. It's going to be stable. It's not going to be like a double-minded man that's unstable. It's going to be stable because you're single-minded, only wanting his will in your life. You gotta get to that point. You do. Because double-minded is going to come. And you're going to have to overcome things. Being double-minded means you want the will of God and you want the will for your own flesh. You can't have that. You have to have only the will of God. Okay, so that's about it right now that I can think of.